The statement Black Lives Matter has made some people very uncomfortable. Maybe you've thought about it and you're like, well, all lives matter. Maybe you've posted it. Maybe you've been silent about it because you're afraid to get involved in this conversation. Maybe you sit on the fence because you can see both sides. In this video, I want to help give you some tools to help you think more critically and more logically about this statement, taking a step back from all the narrative and actually looking at it to think through this process. Excuse me. When I analyze a statement, I put on a different hat. I've taught debate in our homeschool groups for about 3 years now. I am not an expert by any means, but I have picked up a couple of skills when it comes to logic, fallacy, debate, and how to argue well. So I'm going to share with you those 4 tips. I've brought in my son, David.
Hello.
David is in the 6th grade. He is 11 years old, and yesterday we had a conversation at our table, and so I pulled my kids in because kids have a way of thinking through things from a different angle that adults are not thinking. And you also want to train them you don't have to have the opinion of the rest of the population, even if it's the majority. You have your own thinking, and that's okay. You are individual. And so even though we are African American, we don't necessarily have to ascribe to all Black thought and all Black statements. We get to have our own thought, an individual, unique way and opinion of looking at something. So
we're our own person.
We are our own person. Very good. So he was listening yesterday, y'all. That's great news. Every mother wants to hear that. Okay, so let me give you 4 of the tools to keep in mind when you are debating. Now, I'm using the term debating, but this is all critical thinking. Okay, so number 1 is to remember that you are arguing ideas and not people. People are valuable. People are your equal people, but not all ideas are good. So we are arguing ideas and not people when we look at this statement.
Yes, and you are also arguing for the truth, not for something that you want.
Very good. So you're searching for truth and not just your own agenda. Very good. Excuse me. So for number 3, you must research, study, and understand all sides of an argument. That includes the ones that you disagree with. If you don't agree with something, you when you're in debate, you are also to research your opposition. And that's for getting a broader understanding, being able to see things from another angle, being open-minded, not closed-minded to the things that you already know, but opening you up to even possible rebuttals and just broadening your thinking. All right, so what's the 4th thing?
Yes, and every debate must have 3 parts: assertion, reasoning, and evidence. Without those 3 parts, it's never really going to be in debate.
Very good. You don't have a good claim. If I say that McDonald's is better than Chick-fil-A, and
why?
right. Why? So reasoning describes my why. It's my because. McDonald's is better than Chick-fil-A because, and then I need some evidence. Is the service better?
Yeah, you can't have, you can't just say, well, this is better than this. Well, why? Well, I mean, because it's better. You can't just say that.
Yeah.
Nobody will believe you.
Just because, right? You have to have some evidence. So that's what is going to make really good arguments. Now, for the sake of the shortness of this video, we may not dive a ton into the evidence aspect of it, but you should do your own research to figure out, okay, if this is my assertion, if this is my claim, this is what I believe, then why do I believe it, and is there any evidence to back it? So let's look at this logically. When I structured the debate originally with the kids as I presented it to them, I have Black Lives Matter being the topic that is the debate. And in debate, you have the affirmative and the negative, or the affirmative and the opposing, or the proposition and the opposition, whichever way you want to word it. You have somebody who's for and somebody who's against. And I said that the people that were for BLM would say, yes, Black Lives Matter, while those that said all lives matter would be on the opposition. But my son saw a flaw in that thinking, and he corrected me by saying,
the all lives matter people aren't saying that Black lives don't matter. They're just including everyone else. They're still on the same side that people do matter. They're not saying that Black lives don't matter. They're just saying, yeah, well, other people do matter too.
Very good. So when I looked at the debate, I was like, well, you can't say that all lives matter is the opposition. They are affirming it, but they're being all inclusive. So that was the first correction that he made in thinking and looking at this critically, which is so helpful when you try to take emotion out of it and just stand back and look at it, because you might notice something that you did not notice before. So that's a very good note. So a part of the issue with the Black Lives Matter is the interpretation of it. When people see the Black Lives Matter, those that are the that campaign for All Lives Matter, or silently campaign for it, whichever way you want to look at it, to them, I think that they are hearing it as if Black Lives Matter is exclusive. Now, it would be exclusive if we added one word. What word would we need to add?
Only.
Only. So if we said only Black Lives Matter, that is completely exclusive, and then the All Lives Matter people would have a reason, right?
Yeah, it's terrible. Like, you can't just say that, oh, we only matter. Like,
right.
That's when I would be like, I'm not on your side anymore.
Right. So you can't say only Black Lives Matter, and that's not what Black Lives Matter is saying at all. It's not the statement. No. At the same time, some of this argument might be completely, disintegrated, or, might not even exist if we added another word on the end of Black Lives Matter, which would be what? Two. So if we said Black Lives Matter 2, then people might have been like, oh, okay, yeah, I can get with that.
It's innocent.
Right, it's innocent. They don't mean any harm by it. But it's not only Black Lives Matter, which would warrant the All Lives Matter argument. And it's not Black Lives Matter 2, which might have done away with all the controversy. It's just Black Lives Matter, which there's still controversy over that. Yes. So what we have to realize, though, is that saying Black Lives Matter does not negate the fact that all lives matter. It is a true statement. It's no different than when the abortion, those that are fighting for pro-life, they used it to say unborn lives matter. That is a true statement.
Yes, it is.
When this all came out, a lot of the police, I saw my neighbor had it on the back of his door, on the back of his truck, that said police lives matter. None of that, those are not false statements. They are all true statements. So we have to get to why this is so bothersome, even to the Black community, when people start taking it and saying all lives matter. Why does that trigger something for the Black community? And we'll get to the emotional aspects of this and the heartbeat. I don't want to say emotional as if the emotional side means nothing. It means everything. It's the passion, it's the drive, and it's the heartbeat behind the campaign. But we'll get to that soon. Okay, so when you are in debate, there might be ideas that you can concede to. That means that you can agree with certain things. So Black Lives Matter agrees. Those that are for the campaign, they agree that all lives matter. That should not be a part of the debate. So we're not saying that Black Lives Matter means that no other lives do matter, and I think that should be pretty clear. Baby, you have something to add?
Yeah, because if we, as Black people, say that, well, all lives don't matter, that would mean that we would say that Black lives don't matter, because all lives include Black lives. So it's just common sense.
Yes.
You should understand that.
Right. It's common sense. It's obvious. The third thing, or the third argument that I have heard and I have observed, some people say, well, there's higher rates of Black on Black crime. So because of the Black on Black crime, do Black lives really matter? Do Black people really value other Black people's lives? Do you guys really value that, because we see Black on Black crime and there's higher rates of that? Now, in logic, there's something called fallacies. And some of you might be familiar. Some of you are probably very well versed in this, and more well versed than I am in it. So, but there's a fallacy called ad hominem. And ad hominem is where you attack the person versus the position that they're maintaining. So when we say, well, there's more Black and Black crime than the police brutality or other things, do Black lives really matter? I can't get behind a campaign and you guys are over there killing one another. So this is kind of it is an ad hominem fallacy, where you are attacking the people group and saying, well, does it really matter? And in a way, what you're saying is that if it doesn't matter to you, then it doesn't matter at all. Or I'm sorry, if it doesn't matter to that people group, then it doesn't matter at all. So we're tearing down the statement, even though the statement is true, Black lives matter, by saying, but look at how you treat one another. This is where we have to use logic. Does that statement, Black lives matter, become untrue based on the evidence of black on black crime. And David made a very good point about this yesterday, which would land us, well, I'll just let him share. So, go ahead.
So, if people are saying that black on black crimes mean that black lives do not matter, that would mean that, like, the rest of history, like, you know, white people killing white people would mean that white lives don't matter, such as in England when we came to America, because the Catholic Church was killing other white people for not believing in what they were teaching. And then, Asian on Asian crimes, or like people killing off Asian people, then that would mean that they don't matter. And then Spanish on Spanish crimes would mean that Spanish people don't matter, and that would mean that the entire world doesn't matter because we all kill each other.
Right. So then at the end of it, we would end up saying no lives matter.
Yes.
Right.
So all lives and black lives would be wrong.
Right. So we can't look at the people group and attack the people group and say, well, because you guys aren't doing it, then, well, I'm not gonna co-sign to that. I'm not gonna ascribe to that. The statement is still true. All lives matter. The problem is people not honoring that all lives matter. Right. That's really the issue, is that we're not living out that truth. So it's not for us to succumb to the condition of man. It's for us to rise to the occasion of truth. Yes. Oh, that was good. I just came up with that one.
Yeah.
That was really good. I like that. Okay.
There you go.
Thank you so much. So now I'm going to ask David this question. He did not answer this earlier, so this is an off-the-cuff question. He didn't respond to it. I didn't let him respond to it, but I did allow his juices to flow a little bit. So David, I wanted to ask you, what do you think matters more? Because we have this campaign, Black Lives Matter. Do you think that the campaign matters, or what the campaign is about and what it's for matters?
I believe that the campaign, yes, that's one thing. It's like the thing that's showing, like, you know, the TV shows where there's a person, like, you know, they're flipping houses. There's a person that, like, you know, writes out everything and, like, you know, is making the checks and stuff like that, and, like, asking people, like, this, that, and the other. And then there's the other person that gets an entire team together to actually do something to the house. It's like that. Like, the campaign, both of them are important. Like, you know, the campaign, like, Black Lives Matter is, like, you know, telling people, like, you know, come on, like, you know, Black lives do matter. Like, you know, you have to, like, agree with us. And then there's the other side to it, which is saying that, you know, like, we have to do something. Like, you can't have one without the other. You can have the campaign Black Lives do matter, but it can really just do, like, you know, well, then what? What do you want us to do? Like, you know, this, that, and the other. Like, because, you know, it would just be, like, you know, you're just rioting it and everything, like, you know, marching in our, like, you know, towns and stuff like that. Like, trying, like, you know, you might expose people to the coronavirus, like, for what? And then if you have wanting change, how are you going to get people that want to make change to come, like, you know, join forces? Yeah. So you need both of them. But I would say that the change would mean more because if you have some, like, if you're marching and everything, and you don't know what you're doing it for, well, then what's the point in it? Mm-hmm. So I feel like change means more than the campaign of Black Lives Matter.
Very good. And I did not coach him or any of that, and we did not script that. That was not written anywhere. So I just wanted him to share, like, just straight from his own heart and his own mind. So, and that's the perspective that I see as well, is that we're doing a lot of arguing over the words, in some people, not everyone, obviously, but some people are really distraught over, you know, well, all lives matter in this life and that life. And really what the Black community is trying to say, will you partner with us for change? So, David, I just want to say thank you for helping Mama think. I have my other kids made contributions as well, but these were the thoughts that David had that I was just like, those are good. And I'm not going to repeat them. I'm going to let you repeat them. So thank you, David, for sharing your thoughts.
You're welcome.
And stay tuned for the next video where I just kind of share some of the emotional aspects of why this triggers so much. Why is it so emotionally evoking for the Black community?
Yes.
Thanks.